Hello, it's Marika Lake here and welcome back to my channel. I live on the west coast of Australia with my hubby Greg and we have 5 children. I have William who is in grade 9, Emily is in grade 5, Cruz is in grade 3, Jackson is in grade 1 and we have a newborn baby Jay. And we have been homeschooling here in the Lake House Homeschool for 5 years now. In today's video, I am going to do a bit of a curriculum haul for the second half of 2023. If you have watched any of my previous videos, I did like a life update video. I will pop a link in the description box down below and fly a card up the top for you. I shared in that video how we had some changes here in the Lake House over the last month or so. And one of those being that we have a new baby in the house. We have a new baby that joined us. He is a month-old baby Jay, and with that kind of snowballed some changes that were happening in our home, and one of those changes being that we were going to change up our curriculum for the rest of the year. So the curriculum that we have been using up until this point is Gather Round Homeschool, and we have loved using that curriculum. It is unit studies, and as I said, we love using them, but it's just kind of come to a point where it's just kind of not really working for us anymore. And so I find when something's not working for us, it's time to make a change. So let me just go over a little bit of what was not working for us. Sorry, if you can see that tail in the shot there, this is my dog. He is always hanging around. And you can see I've got the bassinet here too. I've got sweet baby Jay asleep there. Hopefully he'll stay asleep through my video. But back to what I was talking about. So, as I said, we're using Gather Round unit studies and they're not working. The reason I'm finding that they're not working at the more is, number one, we've done Gather Round now for a few years, and we've kind of been choosing all of the unit studies the topics that we wanted to study. And we've got to a point now where the topics that are left, my children actually are not interested in doing those unit studies. And so I just thought if I would kind of plow ahead and choose something that they weren't overly interested in, it would just make my homeschool days, I think, a little bit harder. It would be hard to motivate them to come and do school and to keep their interest for the whole unit study. So I thought maybe now would be a good time to take a break from that, because the unit studies are designed that you use them for a few years and then you go back to the unit studies you did at the beginning and start again, because the idea is then the children are older and they're in a older age bracket for the notebooks, and so they would be studying the same thing but doing a level up in the notebooks. And so there are definitely unit studies that I want to go back to, particularly with my 2 younger boys, because at the beginning we did all the fun stuff like space and the insects one, and my boys were really young. Like Jackson wouldn't have even done those unit studies, and Cruz would have been really young and just kind of doing the first book. So I actually would like to get back to do those unit studies. So we might get back into using those, maybe when we're out of the having a newborn baby stage in the house, because that's the other thing that's kind of thrown me out as well with the unit studies and Gather Round. You all gather around and do the work together, which is originally what I really loved about the curriculum. But what I am finding, it's actually hard for me to get everyone together at the same time and ready to do school right now. And with Gather Round, I'm the one that has to read aloud the information. They can watch the videos on their own, but with the 2 younger boys, I need to help them with their books. And I'm just finding having a baby, I can't always be around to sit down and start school with them, because having a baby, your routine sometimes can be a bit unpredictable, especially if your baby's a bit fussy and it takes time to feed and change and all those kind of things. And so what I am finding is hard to kind of gather everyone at the same time, and I didn't want to rely on my older son reading aloud from me like I actually wanted to do that. And so in this kind of season that we're in now, I'm just finding it's a little little bit too hard to kind of do all school together. I just kind of needed the older kids to be a little bit more independent with their schoolwork, and so I could then work one-on-one with the two younger boys. And so that was another reason why I thought it was just a good idea to change out what we were doing, just to make it easier on us, at least while we have a young baby in the house, and we'll see how we go. Okay, so I will start off with my showing you what I'm using for my younger children and work my way up to my oldest, who's in high school. So I have Cruz and Jackson, who Cruz is in grade 3 and Jackson is in grade 1. And I find they're pretty, I can do a lot of stuff for them together because they're pretty close in ability. What I do find, so Jack is my youngest, and I find him, so he's 6 and in grade 1, I find him the hardest to motivate to do school. He is not inclined to want to come and do school, to listen to me read aloud, to watch the videos, and do his actual work. And I think it's because he just wasn't interested in the topics that we were doing. So we were using Gather Round the Ready to Read program for him, and it's an excellent program. Cruz did that full program and learnt to read through that program. It was excellent, and he was quite happy with the unit study topics that are in the Ready to Read program. But Jackson, I just can't motivate. I think he's still on the first book, and it's halfway through the year, and that is I think Burrows and Holes, and he's just not interested in learning about the information that's in the Burrows and Holes. He's just been kind of doing the reading stuff and those kind of things, but I just couldn't get him to come and do school. And I think it's just because he just wasn't interested. And he is the type of child which would actually suit like unschooling, that kind of following a real child-centered learning, really following what he's interested in. So at the moment it's school holidays, so we're not doing any school, but he came to me yesterday obsessed with pearls, and he wanted to know everything about pearls, where to find them, how can I find one, I want one. And so I'm like, oh, let's learn about pearls. And so we jumped on the computer and we watched some videos about how pearls are farmed here in the top of Western Australia, and how pearls are formed, what they're made of, where you can get them from. Like, he was just super interested and sat with me for ages, and he wants to go to the beach on a little excursion to see if he can find a clamshell. And so he just learnt so much. So I really need to try and go with things like that. So that's what he would suit, but I can't really do that at the moment because it's just too hard with a baby. But anyway, so when I was thinking about changing up my curriculum to make it easier and like a minimalist homeschool curriculum for the rest of the year, I'm like, what are the main things that are important to me? Is obviously language and literacy and math. They are the truth, and Bible. So they are the 3 things that I want to keep up with, that we at least do those 3 things every week, if not every day, that we do homeschool. And so I concentrated on picking something for language and literacy, for math, and for Bible, and then the other things are just added in extra. So for language and literacy, we have actually gone with the Good and the Beautiful. And so they have, the Good and the Beautiful is an amazing company. They have a language, they call it language arts, a language arts curriculum, and they have levels for every grade and even into high school. And they also do science curriculums, and they have history, I believe, as well. And their language and literacy, or their language arts programs for the lower levels, for like primary school levels, you can actually grab free downloads of the whole curriculum, which is perfect because that's what I usually buy because I'm here in Australia. This is an American curriculum, and you would to buy the hard copies and have them shipped to Australia would just be super expensive. So I'm quite happy to purchase PDF downloads and print them out. So my language and literacy program, or my language arts program, is is free. I haven't had to pay for it, which is excellent when you're changing curriculums halfway through the year. And so I've always recommend people use The Good and the Beautiful. We did start using it at the beginning of our homeschooling, and so I'm quite happy to go back to that. And in the 5 years that we've been homeschooling, they've actually updated the units as well. And so Jackson is doing level K, and I've just downloaded and printed it out home, and I've just printed the first kind of section. It's broken up into different sections, so I've kind of only just printed the first section and bound that at home. And another good thing about the language arts is that it includes other learning areas in this as well. So in this language arts program, it covers phonics, writing, reading, grammar and punctuation, spelling and literature, but also geography and art as well. So in my choices for my curriculum for the rest of this year, I don't have to add in art or geography because it's already included in their language arts program. So that is what I love. I love programs that will cover several different areas. So I'm super pumped about that. So Jackson is doing the level K from The Good and the Beautiful. And then Cruz, who's in grade 3, he is doing the level 1 course from The Good and the Beautiful. Now on The Good and the Beautiful website, there is a, you can take like a little assessment, like a placement test to find out where your children will be placed in the levels, because the levels don't necessarily match up to grade levels. So I took that and found that Cruz would be best starting at level 1. So for language and literacy and geography and art, we're going to be using The Good and the Beautiful. So it comes with this course book, and then it also comes with some reading books that you can print off as well. So he'll be both of my boys will have reading books as well to go along with this. Now for maths, we have been using mathsonline.com.au, and we've been using that since the very beginning of our homeschooling journey, and that is continuing to work for us. My 2 boys really do enjoy using that, and they can pretty much do that independently as well. So that's something that they can do on their own, which is great. So for math, we're going to continue using Maths Online, and I also still have a subscription with Reading Eggs as well, which has Reading Eggs and Math Seeds as well. And so that's something that my boys do independently as well. So we'll continue to do that. That's an added extra thing that we do. So we still do our language and literacy, and then I might say to them, okay, can you jump onto Reading Eggs for 10 or 15 minutes? And that's something they enjoy doing. And I also use Reading Eggs and Math Seeds for those days where I can't get to helping them with their schoolwork, but I still want them to be engaged in doing something. Then I just put them onto Reading Eggs and Math Seeds, and same with Maths Online as well. So they'll be continuing to use those. Now, so they were my important. Remember I said I just choose the most important things was language and literacy and math. And then the third thing I chose as being really important is Bible. And for Bible, we are going to be using this, which is the Indescribable, which is 100 devotions about God and science. And so I'm going to be using this with my 2 younger boys. And I'll probably add this into reading it to them at bedtime. So it's not necessarily something that I have to do in the homeschool day, but it's actually when I'm tucking them into bed. So I will do that, or my husband can do that. And so not only is it Bible, but it is science as well. So doubling up on learning areas, which is great. And then my boys also really enjoy watching the Superbooks episodes. And so I will get them to watch Superbooks episodes as well. Again, that's something that they can do without me, or I could be tending to the baby while they're doing that. And so I'm still in the room listening to what they're watching. But yeah, so as I said, trying to shift them to being a little bit more independent. So this is what we're doing for Bible, Indescribable, and watching Superbooks episodes. That's for my 2 younger boys. Now, the other subject area that we're going to focus on for term 3 is science. I decided in making my load a little bit easier, not to do all of the subject areas at once. And so for term 3, we will have a science focus, and then say in term 4, we won't do science, we will have more of a history focus. And so I'm still covering everything that I need to, but not having to do everything all at the same time is what I'm going for. And so for science, I just picked up this super simple animals sticker book. Remember, I was talking to you about trying to motivate Jackson to do his schoolwork and finding things that interest him. And so obviously animals interest him, and sticker books. I remember we did a sticker book with him. I think it was on ocean life, sea animals or something like that. And he absolutely loved that. He just wanted to do that book all the time. And so was super motivated to do his schoolwork. So I thought, let's go with another one of those. So this is just a DK sticker encyclopedia about animals. And so you just read about different animals and stick the stickers on the pages. And so super simplistic, super easy. My boys are only in grade 1 and grade 3. So this will be fine for them this term. And then I will also, as well as doing the sticker book, we will also just watch YouTube videos on the different animals that interest us along the way. And then every now and then doing an art notebooking page where they can draw a picture or paint a picture of the animal that we learnt about, and they can write a couple of sentences or a couple of facts down that they learnt about that animal, or they can dictate to me and I can write it. So that kind of covers a couple of learning areas at the same time. That's science, art, and language and literacy as well. So that's what we're going to be doing for science. So the animal sticker book, watching YouTube videos about different animals, and doing some art notebooking pages to go along with that. So that is all that I'm doing for the 2 younger boys for term 3. As I said, then in term 4, we will not do science and we'll do history. So when it gets to term 4 and I decide what I'm going to do, then I'll do another video and show you. But so now moving on to my daughter, Emily, who's in grade 5. Now she is much more independent and can do things independently on her own, which is great. So she has a little bit more to do this term. For language and literacy, again, we are going with this side's better. We are going with the good and the beautiful for her. She has placed at level 3, so we will begin there. And this is something that I will help her with. She won't do this on her own. I'll make sure that I sit down and take the time to work through the language program with her. So that's what she's doing for language and literacy. And for maths, she's continuing to do maths online as well. That's still working for her, so she'll be using that. And she does the times table program from the good and the beautiful as well. I think it's multiplication facts, which has songs, and she's been using that, and that's been going really well. So that's what she will be doing for maths. And then the other things that she has that she can do independently. So the Bible program that she's using is the More Than Words Bible curriculum. This is level 2. This is from Rebecca Spooner, who is the author of Gather Round Homeschool that we were using. And so she has been using this Bible curriculum since the beginning of the year. So she will continue to use that, and she really enjoys using that. So that's what she is doing for Bible, and she actually enjoys watching Superbooks episodes as well. So I'm sure she'll watch Superbook episodes with my boys, the 2 younger boys. Now for science, she's going to be studying animals as well. And I asked her what she wanted to do for science, and I gave her a whole lot of options, and she said she wanted to do animals as well. And so what I've got for her is we've just got a bunch of animal information books in our homeschool room, and so I've just grabbed one here, just the Encyclopedia of Animals. And so what I just said to her was that she could choose an animal a week that she wanted to learn more about and to study, and that she could use the books that we have in our homeschool collection. She could use YouTube videos or looking at information online to learn about a different animal each week. So then I bought her this blank book, which I just picked up from Kmart. I think it's actually designed to be like a scrapbooking book, but she is going to use, it's quite big, it's a 12 by 12. You can get smaller sizes. Maybe in hindsight I should have got a smaller one, but I got her this book and she can create her own book about animals. So she will use this book to make notebooking pages. And so the idea is that she would draw or paint a picture of the animal that she has been learning about that week, and then she would then write the information that she learnt about the animal and make her own book about animals. So that's what she is going to be doing for science, and then that obviously covers art and language arts as well. And then she will be doing history as well, and she has been reading this book, The Upside Down History of Down Under. This is Australian history, and she's been reading this book since the beginning of the year. She's really enjoying it. It was actually something that she picked up herself to start reading. I noticed she started reading before we started school. I'm like, oh, are you enjoying that book? And she said yes. I'm like, great, you can use that book for Australian history. So she's continuing to read this, and then she usually just comes and tells me all the interesting facts that she read about. And then we are continuing to work through this book. What's the big deal? These are the God's Design books that we use we have one for kind of every age in our house. This is book number 3, and this is what we do for like health studies. So this is learning all about her body, relationships, growing up, and all those kind of things. So this is not something she does independent. This is something I read to her, and we're working our way through that. So that's what we do for health studies. And my kids also do sport as well. I always fail to mention that. Like the 2 younger boys are doing soccer, and Emily does dance and acrobatics. So I have done a whole video about what I do for health and sports. I'll put a link up the top and in the description box if you wanted to have a look at that. But that's what she is doing for health. My little baby's starting to fuss. Let's see how far I get through the video before having to pick him up. Oh, give me a second. Okay, I'm back. My daughter is also interested in learning German again. We learnt German a few years ago. We've got friends who are German, and once again, Emily kind of got reinterested in learning how to do that. And so she is going to be using an online program to learn that, and that is through the Education Perfect website, which is an online homeschooling program, and so which I will be using for my son, which I'll talk about soon. But there are German lessons on there, and she's already started and she's really enjoying them, and she can do it independently, which is so great. She doesn't need me to help her. So yeah, she's been working through learning German through Education Perfect. She's even, taken the initiative herself to write out words that she's learning in German and stick them on the fridge and things like that. And so she is also learning German this term as well. And I just thought I would throw in here too, I am continuing to use the Story of the World. I use this as a read aloud to my children, and we're pretty much just reading aloud. We're not doing anything else with it, like recitation or writing anything down or doing any notebook pages. We're just kind of reading it because history interests us, and in particular it does interest me and my oldest son. And so we've been reading aloud from Story of the World. We're up to volume 3, which is Early Modern Times. We've been using Story of the World for a few years now, and so we're nearly through that, and then we'll be moving on to number 4. So I still like to use this as a read aloud, and I usually pick this up and read this aloud when I have all of my children together at the same time. And so sometimes that is actually at dinner time, when they're all sitting at the dinner table. I take the time to add some schoolwork in then. And so we will, be continuing to read aloud for this, which is history. Now, on to my oldest son, who is in grade 9. I have switched him over fully to online learning. I just find that is just a lot easier for me at the moment. I know that he's getting all the content that he needs, and the program is kind of doing all of the marking and the checking up on him. Obviously, I check up on his progress and things like that, but I just found that he can work independently, and he's self-motivated, and loves obviously being on the computer. So I thought this was a great time to make that switch to using an online program. He did enjoy the gather round unit studies, and it's probably hardest for him to move away from that because he did enjoy using those, but it is the time to move on for him to using Education Perfect. So on there they have everything. So he will be doing his language and literacy on there. I do have this writing program that I purchased for him to use this year, which is The Power is in Your Hands, Writing Nonfiction in High School. I think we will use this alongside the things he will be using on Education Perfect. So this is a great writing program. We used the Jump In writing program, which is the one that came before this, and he did enjoy that. So I think we will still do language and literacy on Education Perfect. He will do this as well, which is a writing program, and then he just reads novels that I get him to read. And so he'll be doing that. And then on Education Perfect, he'll also do like Australian history, geography, science, digital technologies as well, which is excellent. And then for maths, we're going to continue using Maths Online for him. Because as I said, we've been using it this whole time and he enjoys using that. There is maths available on Education Perfect, but we're going to continue with our Maths Online. So that is what he is doing. And then for Bible, I haven't got the book. Let me just go grab it. Okay, we've got a little visitor. I am home on my own today, which is a miracle. My children are out having fun today, so I'm at home with baby Jay. So I haven't got anyone else to cuddle a sad baby, so I'll have to do it. So for Bible, I'm going to get my older son to read this, which is called The Story for Kids. This is just, it says Discovering the Bible from Beginning to End, selections from the New International Reader's Version. So it's just the Bible, but told in a story form, really, from the beginning of the Bible to the end. And this version is for kids. There is actually the story. It's just called The Story, which is for adults, and then they came out with a kids version. So I have the adults one as well. So I'm going to start him off on this. And if he would like to switch to the adult one, then he can do that one. But I just thought this was something that would be good for him. Again, it's something he can kind of do on his own. And so he can read that this term for Bible. Also, my son, he is looking at this book, which is called Facing the Facts. As I said, I showed you the book that my daughter is using. This is the one that my son is up to. This is book 4. And usually I forget to mention these things because they're just something that we do every year. My husband actually does these books with the boys, and then I do the one with my daughter. And so this is just what we use again for health, as I talked about the other one with my daughter. Then this is the one that my son is using. And my older son, he is not very sporty, so he doesn't do any outside sports. So I just make sure for him that he's being active. So he goes to youth group. He's been rock climbing a couple of times this year. We ride our bikes. We go on bushwalks. He, I think, did swimming lessons at the beginning of the year for the last time. And we go swimming a lot, fishing, boating, canoeing, snorkeling. all that kind of stuff. And so that is what we do that's what he does for health education, which he will be doing this term as well. So they are all the curriculum choices that we are going to be using for the second half of 2023, definitely for term 3. And then I might add in some more things or different things for term 4. This was probably a really long video, so thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you are still watching, I so appreciate you. If you have any questions at all, make sure you leave a comment in the comments box down below, and I will pop links to all of the things that I have shown you in the description box as well if you wanted to check out any of those things for yourself. I would love it if you subscribe to my channel. You can just hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the bell notification, you will be notified about when my videos go up on my channel. And I've also popped my Instagram account in the description box as well if you wanted to follow along with our family over on Instagram. I would love to have you join us over there in that community as well. Again, thank you so much for watching my video today, and I will see you next time. Bye.